Hello again everyone, and welcome to the second part of the Cataclysm Warlock changes. In this guide I'm going to focus specifically on the talent tree specific changes to Warlocks, as well as some additional changes to the pet abilities. Now in Affliction they've made quite a few changes. They've arguably made the whole spec quite a lot easier, which in my opinion is quite a good thing, because most of people's time spent playing Affliction was spent staring at spell timers, which I didn't find particularly fun. The first thing that you're going to notice is if you cast Curse of Elements now on any target, every target within, I believe it's 40 yards, gets the Jinx Curse of Elements effect. This is essentially the same as Curse of Elements, just with a different icon. In terms of a rotation for Affliction, not a great deal has changed. The main thing that they've added is the fantastic ability to target swap really quite easily. So I'm not going to go into the details of what I'm doing here, but just know that if you need to switch targets, it's a lot simpler now. All you do is you cast something called Soul Swap, and this pulls all your dots off of a target, and then you get a buff, which means you can cast Soul Swap again, and then you place the dots on another target, which is awesome. Now you'll notice that I've got the glyph of Soul Swap here, so when I pulled the dots off of that first target dummy, they didn't disappear from the initial one. Unless you have the glyph, you stop all of your dots. The other thing to note here is when you transfer dots from one target to another, they get put on the new target with full duration, regardless of what duration they were on the first target. So you see here I've got them ticking away on this one. Pull them off, place them whenever I want. Don't forget, as Affliction you can use Soul Burn followed by Seed of Corruption to put corruption on everything within the blast radius. Here you can see the in-game power aura for Shadow Trance, and you see the little spell effect around Shadow Bolt to let me know that it's become instant cast. Another very important thing to note now is a change that doesn't just affect Warlocks, it affects all classes. Dots no longer clip, so I'm not going to show you anything fancy here, but all this means is if you want to recast a dot, you don't have to wait until a fraction of a second after it ends. You can recast it at any point during its duration and the dot will just tick at the standard rate. This is very similar to the way that corruption is refreshed in Affliction anyway. They've greatly simplified the execute phase of the fight now. Just going to dot at this target so it goes down to low health. When you cast Drain Soul now, on every tick you refresh your Unstable Affliction and your Corruption spells. Bane of Agony is not refreshed and Haunt is also not refreshed, so you'll really need to recast those two, but other than that, to do the execute phase all you do is cast Drain Soul and let it tick away, only recasting Haunt and Bane of Agony. Now with Demonology they've made a couple of changes to Demon Form. One, which is awesome, it means you could do this. You could do a leap and you land and you stun everything in an area. You still have your Immolation aura. The other thing that they've changed is they've increased the damage bonus that that Demon Form gives generally, so Demon Form is a lot more awesome now. You'll notice as well how the Felguard's Demonic Pact is now no longer a chance on crit, it is just a passive aura that's always active. They've added a new ability to the Felguard now, and the Felguard can leave behind a mortal strike on its targets. The other spell they've added into Demonology is this thing called Hand of Gul'dan. You summon it down and first of all it refreshes Immolate, the duration of Immolate, and it leaves behind a kind of aura. This aura increases the chance for demons to crit things in this place, and also it can root and stun enemies as well. As demo, you'll probably end up casting Hand of Gul'dan to refresh Immolate, as the cooldown on the spell is less than the duration of Immolate, and it should be up for as long as possible in the fight. Unfortunately, they haven't added an in-game power aura to deal with Molten Core, so I would suggest still using power auras and setting it up the way I've done mine, or a very similar way to track whether you've got Molten Core or not. There he goes. They've changed the AoE that Demonology uses now. They've made lots of changes to Hellfire. Namely, they've increased its range, increased its damage, and given you the ability to cast it whilst moving, which means that this now becomes the main AoE for Demonology Warlock. Someone asked me if you can have 3 pets, and I can show you that the answer is yes. You get the temporary pet from Bane of Doom, you've got your own pet, and you've got a temporary pet you can summon as well. Now, something I've only just realised on beta is that if you go to your pet tab in your spellbook, there are some new abilities which aren't automatically added to your bar, so I'm going to go through and detail the new pet abilities in Cataclysm. Now, for Felguard, I've already talked about Legion Strike. It's a mortal strike, but in addition to this he gets an Axe Toss, which is a stun, and he also gets a Whirlwind ability. There we go. And yep, nice. The Imp gains an ability called Flee, which, as I understand, removes all movement impairing effects and returns him to you very quickly, like that. And he also gains what appears to be a Dispel Magic as well. The Succubus gains a new ability, which is a Shadow Damage Knockback. This is a good opportunity to show what Glyph of Fear can do. Fear no longer makes the person run, but you can make it a Horrify effect. It lasts 20 seconds and it's not immediately dispelled by damage. This could be extremely useful in instances. As part of Destruction, they've changed some of the ways that the Imp does damage. He obviously still casts firebolts, but when they land, he now does a stacking buff called Burning Embers. This will stack up to a maximum amount per second, and this is based, I believe, on your spell power. In my fairly rubbish gear, this hits for around 700 or 800 damage per second. If your Imp gets a critical strike like that, he gives you an instant cast Soulfire. That effect there was just the in-game power aura effect they've added for this. If you cast a Soulfire on a target with high health, that's greater than 80%, you gain 15% haste. This spell has a 30-second cooldown, but there doesn't appear to be a tooltip to track whether you've done it. So basically you should open most fights as a Destruction with a Soulfire. Don't forget, of course, that you can do an instant cast just by using a Soul Burn and then casting Soulfire. Destruction gains an additional Bane. This Bane, called Bane of Havoc, means that if you place it on a target, that target will take 15% of the damage that the Warlock does to another target. So if I put it on this dummy here and then start damaging this one, you'll see that 15% of the damage I'm doing to the first dummy is going to the second one. Thank you for watching the guide. I hope you found it useful. I look forward to making more of these once Cataclysm goes live. Cheers everyone, bye for now.